Hope you can see. In case of any difficulty, you can chat in the chat box, and if any issues are there, you are most welcome. Right? And this is our this is the initiatives. Yeah, these are the initiatives of the Ministry of Education, Innovation Cell. Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell. One is Smart India Hackathon. The Smart India Hackathon is a flagship program of the Ministry of Education. Earlier, it was Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now it has become Ministry of Education, and it is also we have also constituted Institutions Innovation Council, and also then another initiative, ranking of institutions on innovation achievements area. And there's an NISP, the National Innovation and Startup Policy for students and faculty, for which we are discussing. And there are international hackathons are also there. Now recently there is something called Toycathon, like as we are importing several toys from the China, we felt we should have our own toy manufacturing, and we can also work on that. And basically, this NISP is launched in the year 2019, towards the end, 11th September 2019, by Honorable Minister for HRD, that is Ramesh Pokhriyal, Honorable Minister for HRD. And now the policy intended to guide the higher education institutions to promote the students and faculty driven innovations and startups. And it will be instrumental in leveraging the potential of the students' problem solving, entrepreneurship mindset, and promoting a strong intra and inter-institutional partnerships. So this is one of the guidelines given. So we took the lead in East and West Godavari to promote the innovation and startups. And this is basically by the joint efforts of UGC, Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Education Innovation Council, AICTE, and also Institutional Innovation Council. And the CSD and the GSBS has joined hands and to promote this entrepreneurship innovation as per the requirements of the East and West Godavari. And here it is simply divided into ABC. That is A, higher education institution strategies and governing for promoting innovation and entrepreneurship, which is further divided into A1, A2, and A3. That is, this is for the higher education strategies for governance, and one A1, that is creating innovation pipeline and pathways for entrepreneurs, and A2, that is building organizational capacity, human resources, and offering the incentives to them, and A3, that is collaboration and co-creation and business relationship and the knowledge exchange, which the more as we move on, we'll get to know. And the B, this policy intend to tell the norms for the faculty and students driven innovations and startups. And in that, B1 and B2 are incentivizing the faculty and students for entrepreneurship, and B3 offering the norms for the faculty startups. And the C, incubation and the pre-incubation support, that is offering the ownership rights for the technologies developed at the higher educational institutions, and by sharing the resources. And E is pedagogy, learning, and interventions for supporting innovation and startups. And F is entrepreneurship performance and impact assessment. So it is A, B, C, D, E, N, F, right? These are the thrust areas. More in detail as we move on, you'll understand. Now we'll go to the highlighting the features of this policy. The one is creating an innovation fund for supporting the innovative projects and startups by allocating a minimum 1% of the institutional total budget that is been proposed. So whoever the educational institutions are there should think of at least creating some innovation fund within their campuses. Now, most of the institutions are turning into autonomous. They should at least have some budget allocated for the innovation for their future. And an academic break for the semester or a year to work on the startups, both for the faculty as well as students. And the credits for working on the innovative prototypes of the business model can be apportioned to the students as well as faculty also. and 2 to 9.5% of the equity stake in the startups of the company by the institutional incubator. So the institutions are free to take up some stake in the startups launch and complete ownership of the IPR, that is intellectual property right, by the inventors in case of non-uses of the institutional facilities or resources, which should be certified by the institutional head. In case some student or the faculty comes out with an innovation, we should give the fullest right to them having for launching this particular thing. And services offered by the institution in lieu of the equity, fee based or the zero payment model. So all the services offered by the institution in lieu of the equity or fee based or zero payment model as per the flexibility. So the institution is free to decide on that. And now we have seen A to F. Let us go in detail how we can go with the strategies. So the A, the strategies and governing for governance for promoting entrepreneurship. Major dimension in the HEIs strategy and should formulate university or HEI level document in accordance with the NISP. Yeah. Okay. Just a second. Yeah. So here the A strategies are strategies and the government for promoting entrepreneurship. It is a major dimension of the higher education institution strategy and should formulate the university or the higher education level document in accordance with I'm sorry, yeah, in accordance with the National Innovation and Startup Policy and the State Startup Policy. So here the document which we are discussing is a national level document, and also some APSSDC state level policy not been documented yet. I think we can also compare, but to start with, I think this document, whatever the points we are discussing, are implementable, and this can be achieved through the various mission statements we draft as a part of promoting the entrepreneurship ecosystem in our own institution. And rather we can have some flexible systems, rather banking on the stringent control systems which will not result anywhere. And to offer the entrepreneurial agenda should be the responsibilities of any senior person at the level of dean, director, or equivalent position with the less hierarchy and autonomy. So so any person who is having that profile can handle this particular thing. In case if it is controlled by some kind of a hierarchy, and it is difficult for them to operate. And intra and inter-institutional relation to promote entrepreneurship and innovation agenda. And the institute can provide the services and the facilities to the outsider entrepreneurship too. So this also can be promoted. So, and resource mobilization plan should be in place. So all the institutions should have their own fund. So that can be the management sponsored, otherwise they can raise the funds. But ideally, it is recommended to have 1% of the annual budget should be allocated for the innovation cell, and raising the funds from the diverse sources, let it be a central or state agency, some kind of a projects institution can raise. And also incubation fund support for the CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. So majorly the companies, it is ideal that institutions should have a proactive approach by approaching some of the leading corporates, and it has been there like 2% of the company's profit should be allocated for the CSR. It has been drafted as per the section 135 of the Companies Act 2013, and offer the sponsorship and donation from the alumni network. So this is also been there. And all the higher education institutions should join the Institutional Innovation Council to network, participate in the Smart India Hackathon, and also participate in the ARIA, and also any Hackathon, such innovation contest, the people should come forward. And A1, it is creating innovative pipelines and the pathways for the entrepreneurs. So higher education institutions should ensure the maximum students should participate and go through the pre-incubation process of the problem identification, solution development, proof of the concept validation, and the prototype development, and business model and the proposal development. And the higher education institution should link and collaborate with incubation unit, with external agencies and ecosystem enablers, and provide the network support to incubate startups, and connecting the student entrepreneurs with incubate startups for internship, experience sharing, and encouraging participants of the students in innovation business plan, and organize such competitions and hackathons on campus. And A2, building the organizational capacity and the human resource incentives. So institutions should recruit the staff that have the strong innovation and entrepreneurial industrial experience, behavior and attitude. This will be held in fostering the innovation and entrepreneurship agenda and the culture in the higher education institutions. And the faculty and the departments of the institution should have to work in coherence, and especially in the cross departmental linkage and maximum utilization of the internal resources and the knowledge. So they should not work in isolation or the verticalized. They should have a proper networking, and they should realize the goal, because it's an institutional work, and sometimes it goes beyond also. So the institution's team should cooperate with each other, and the faculty and the staff should be encouraged to do the courses, trainings, and the certificates on innovation, entrepreneurs, and intellectual property rights. And this is all like, how do you build the organizational capability? And to retain talent, institutions should have the academic and non-academic incentives and record mechanism for all the staffs, faculty, and stakeholders. So otherwise they don't get motivated. And a performance metric should be developed and used for the evaluation as a part of annual performance, and the contribution to the faculty towards achieving innovation and entrepreneurship agenda should be the part of the matrix. Yeah. And whatever the doubts are there, probably at the end of the session we can take. Otherwise, you can write to us in between. It will be distracting if I can attend some of the things. And the A3, it is collaborate, co-create, and building relationship with the knowledge. And institutions should develop a policy or the guideline document for forming and managing the relationship with external stakeholders, including the private industries. And knowledge exchange through the collaboration and partnership should be made as a part of the institutional policy. And mechanisms should be devised by the institute to ensure the maximum exploitation of entrepreneurship opportunities with industrial and commercial collaborations. And knowledge development should be done by the institute through development of innovation knowledge platforms, through information and communication technologies capabilities, or repository of ideas, or proof of concepts, innovations, and the startups can be managed through these platforms. So this is what is also being planned. And this is about the A1, A2, and A3. Now we come to the B, the norms for the faculty, students driven innovations and startups. Some of the norms have been proposed, like higher educational institutions should establish a process or a clear guidelines of the mechanism for easy creation and nurturing the startups of the enterprises by the students of UG, PG, or PhD. And faculty and staff of higher educational institution is setting a committee and working committee on these following areas. That is, allow the students to set up a startup or social tech or non-tech, and working on a part-time till we have a full-time while studying or working as an intern, and allowing the students to earn a credit for working on innovative prototypes or the models. The respective board of studies can decide whether that can be given a credit. In case if the credits are given, how many credits has to be given. That also should be taken forward with the examination branch, and the resolution should be passed. And the student innovators and entrepreneurs may be allowed to opt for the startup in place of the mini project, major project, seminar, and the summer trainings. And allow the student entrepreneurs to take the semester break or a year break to work on the startups. So that is also provision can be given. Unless we give these, it is very difficult to take it forward. And allowing the student entrepreneurs and the innovators to sit for the examinations after reviewing the attendance criteria as laid by the respective universities, or in the case of the autonomous, the respective body should devise to what extent relaxation can be provided. And allowing the student entrepreneurs to use his premises address or the hostel letters or the department letters to set up a register unit. So while studying with higher education institution, and incentivizing the faculty for the innovation and entrepreneurship, allowing the faculty to start the startup based on the technology developed in the lab at the institute and previously developed somewhere else but have the ownership on the IP or the technology based, and allowing the faculty or the staff to take off a semester of the year as a sabbatical or unpaid leave or casual leave or earned leave for working on startups and come back. No restrictions on the shares and the staff, and the faculty can take as long as they don't spend more than 20% of the office time on the startup in, like, in the advisor of the consultant role, and do not compromise on the academic or the administrative work of the institution. So I mean, this is totally, like, not more than 20% of the time can be devoted, but yet they can stretch beyond the hours, because in lieu of the project and the research. In case the faculty or the staff is drawing the salary from the institution, the institute stake or the equity on the startup should be limited to only 20% of the total share of the faculty, or 9.5% stake of the whichever is minimum. So that is what for the faculty. And the B3, that is norms for the faculty startup. Role of the faculty while teaching may be owner, founder, or co-founder, director, promoter, advisor, mentor, consultant, but cannot take the role of an employee. Please be remembered this. Or CEO or any other managerial roles in the startup, and cannot draw the salary in the startup, or can't accept any gifts from the own startup. So let us be aware of these things, especially faculty, because since they are owners, like, probably we should refrain from these practices, and he or she can take the share on the profit on the dividend only if the startup as a owner or the stakeholders only. So faculty must clearly separate and distinguish ongoing research at the institution from the work conducted by the startup or a company. In case of the selection or acceleration or the incubation, he may take sabbatical leave or the other leave up to one semester or a year or more, depends on the committee recommendation. And the faculty must not involve the research staff or the other staff engaged in the academic project of the institution and activities at the startup. And C, it is incubation and the pre-incubation support of the facility creation and the access. So the creation of the pre-incubation or the incubation, like a special purpose vehicle, they can register as a Section 8 company or a Society Act, or pre-incubation incubation support attached to a nearest incubation unit if it does not exist in the campus. Right. Otherwise, the CSD, we can offer that particular incubation support to any of the institutions. So you can come forward, and we are here. And promotion and incentivification of the technology commercialization efforts, and allow licensing of the IPRs from the institute to start up incubated at the incubation unit. So we can observe as a consultant. We can ensure you can take it forward, and we are specialized in that. And provision and the streamline relevant services and mentoring support through pre-incubation and incubation units in return for the fee or equity sharing or the zero payment basis. In return of the services offered, the space, infrastructure, mentoring, seed support, and the accountant and the legal and the patent support, and the use of the facilities at the institution of the incubation unit may take up to 2% to 9.5% of equity in the startup or the company incubated. So faculty are encouraged, and also can become the part of, they should be paid for their efforts. In case of the compulsory equity model, startup may be given a cooling period of the 3 months to use the incubation services, either on a free basis or a rental basis or an equity basis, to take the final decision. Now the D, it is IP ownership rights and the technology developed at the higher educational institutions. If the fund or the resource of the higher education used substantially, then the IPR should be made jointly by the institution and the innovator, and the license together and the revenue sharing model among the both parties. Okay, so in case the the sufficient handholding is given by the institution, the proportion can be discussed. And if any one of the inventor want to start a startup based on the technology, then it can be licensed only to the inventor, with the royalty would not be more than 4% on the sales price, preferably 1 to 2% unless the pure software product. So if one wants to go off also, but at least some royalty can be given, right? That can be deliberated. If it is in the form of the shares, then it will be again 1 to 4%. So in case of the software share, divided based on the mutually decided between the institution of the incubation unit and the incubate company. And any dispute of the IPR ownership and the revenue sharing of licenses, then the 5-member committee should be set up by the higher education will look into the matter and recommend accordingly. And the interdisciplinary research and the publication of the startup of the entrepreneur should be promoted by the higher education institutions. So any kind of a disputes can be settled amicably, because this is basically creating an ecosystem. And the E, the pedagogy and the learning interventions for the entrepreneurship development. It is recommended to adopt and produce the desirable learning outcomes as a part of the curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular level, and create and publish a toolkit on innovation and startup, and the IPR for open access to students and faculties. And student clubs are the bodies on the innovation and the IPR and the startup must be established and engaged. And higher education institutions should start recognizing and giving the innovation and entrepreneurship awards to the best achievers from the campus annually, and they can confer gold medal kind of a rewards during convocations and the ceremonies, right, of the institutions. And teaching and tolerating the failures encountered is also one of the practice. And we should create an awareness among the students, and the teaching methods should also include the case studies and the real business stories of the failure and success. And it should be having an experiential learnings. And pedagogy changes need to be done to ensure the maximum number of the students and the project innovations are based are around the life challenges, and it should be constantly reviewed and updated. And you can start, it's already been started by the Ministry of Education, a part-time MS or MBA program on the innovation and entrepreneurship and the venture development course, as per the ACT guidelines. It's already been running. Now the F. Yeah, F is to promote an analysis of the services and the facilities on the regular basis, into development of the key performance and the indicators, and focus on the inputs, process, and output and outcome and also for the impact level. And with this, in fact, we are launching an GSBS CSV innovation contest, because GSBS is specialized in offering agri-based startups. So as per the PM focus areas, one is agricultural aids for mechanization and the boosting yield. So you can work on that. And the recycling of the wastewater from the household. So how do you do that? And offering the cost-effective technologies for the potable water, and development of low water intensive seeds, which is also the need. And you can work on the innovation technologies in the area of water recycling, and also can work on uses of the crop residue. So how do you process and to control and leakage of the supply chain, to encourage the biofuel uses, and to avoid the conventional fossil fuels, and to offer some innovation in the areas agro processing, preserving, and the packaging. So we are going to give the link, and the context starts from today, in fact, from this the 11th, and it ends on 18th. And whoever the successful winners will have a prize money of pricing of incubating up to 10 lakh worth unit. So that that chance will be given by us.